exercise, it has a lot of benefit apart from a lot of apart from building up strong immunity in your body for defense from sicknesses, but also it helps to reduce other sicknesses from coming to you. So I always tell people, no, being fat is not a good thing at all. Most people in Africa, they will tell you get fat because that is a sign of good living. It's a sign of being wealthy. And people are killing themselves and they die and they say somebody killed them because they overeat. Gluttony, greed, they overindulge in things they put in their mouths. And people often misunderstand the word of the Lord when he says, not what goes into a man that kills him, but what comes out of him. Sometimes people take the word of God out of context, say, no, it's not supposed to. Yeah, the things that you put in your mouth can kill you. And especially for black people, this is not those in Africa alone. Black people everywhere in the world. If you look at the way, the nature, their genetics, gives them big body, and those big bodies, you see what happened in COVID. A lot of people died because of obesity, overweight. And therefore they indulge in a lot of other sicknesses, and they bring and attract sicknesses upon their body. And then we quick to run to Isaiah 53 to quote about how we are healed by the stripe and wound that Jesus Christ suffered. But how does that apply to you as a person? Especially for black people all over the world. We already know the lack of access to healthcare, disparity in healthcare. And you've heard about the statistics about stigma in healthcare, about a lot of things that you are dealing with as whether as a structural violence or as whether it's racism, discrimination, it doesn't matter what it is. But God has given you something you can use and where you can live your life, and then your life can last longer. And he said, oh, we can't help it. It used to be promoted by the media and the Hollywood by trying to say, oh, you are big and you feel comfortable and people are copying it. But meanwhile, you're lining up dead bodies everywhere you are. Everywhere you find black men dying from diseases and sickness. And until I wrote, was it my second or third book? I think it's my third book, The Lost Legacy. Doing the research, I had to review probably 1,000 empirical research. And then narrow it down to recent ones to find out. But a lot of the diseases that are killing people, especially the black people, has some things to do with the things they eat. CDV, cardiovascular diseases, for example, cancer, for example, diabetes, for example. It's not just only the cost to the nation's healthcare systems, but to the body, to you, that God has made in his image and likeness. So, the question, because we are talking in the previous Sundays about whether God will hold you accountable for the choices you make over those that lead you. So what about you that is leading your own life? You are in control of this body. I am in control of this body. What goes on in and what goes out, except if you are like someone like Nnamdi Kanu that is held up in jail, that has no choice over what he eats, or anybody in prison. So you eat what you are given, because if you don't eat, you starve. But you have people who are well-to-do. God bless them with a lot of wealth, so they can afford to buy food that we eat. But when they now buy the food, when you buy the food, you are not careful in the choices of the food that you eat, nutrition and cooking. There was a message years ago about those that, for example, that are getting food stamp, welfare, supplies of their needs, that the law says that those things shouldn't be allowed to access the grocery, the community, the bad food. shouldn't be allowed to be paid for, like things like cakes, sugary stuff, soda, and things that are killing the body. These are poisons that you are eating in your mouth. Because they didn't know better. There was no education on nutrition and cooking that helped them to understand the nature of the kind of food that you put in your body. Carbohydrates, vegetable, protein. About the way the foods are stored and digested, about the risk that is associated with such a behavior. Because it's a risky health behavior. About the effects of poverty and people that have no food or no money, who are poor, cannot afford to buy vegetable that is expensive. They cannot even afford to buy anything now. There is no food, there is a shortage in food supply. But we are bringing God into your everyday life, your basic needs, for you to see that God cares about your life. When I was growing up, I remember in my house, when I talk about it, because I want to talk about myself a little bit. In my house, if you can't cook food that is pepperish or has a coloring in it, or condiments, all these sweeteners in the food, or which other rule? That was pepper, no salt, no coloring, and no additives. All those things that makes the food. That's how we were growing up. And people couldn't understand it, because sometimes you cook the food, you cannot really eat it because it doesn't taste good. Then everything is going to be a very minute nature. So you have those that cook the food has to be careful that it doesn't cross over. If it crosses over, then you're going to have hell. You're going to go to hell that day from my father. So the thing I'm saying is this, is that what you eat and you put in the body matters. And it matters to God. It matters to you. And the question then, earlier today in counseling was, if you now, because God has blessed you, you have money, or you go to work, you make money, after all, it is your own fruit of your labor. And then you decide to eat whatever you can eat, as much as you want. And you keep getting big. From this, you add 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 this. And then you have diabetes, and then it became out of control. Not only the cost to the insurance